Hello, everybody. First things first, please let me know in the comments if you guys have any suggestions on videos you would like me to make. I know some of you guys like the storytelling ones, and some people like the more emotional and whatnot, philosophical type videos. Just anything though. I really want to grow this channel, so like, support, subscribe, and all of that stuff. I have intentions. If we get bigger, I have interviews I want to do. I've got interviews lined up. So interviews with addicts, recovering addicts, drug gurus, whatever. Yeah, I got plans. So let's all help the channel grow. All right, so we are going to do some storytelling today. We'll call this 3 quick tales from the Panhandling era. If you guys haven't seen, I made a video. It's one of my early ones, and it actually got some mixed reviews. Not everyone agrees with the ethics of panhandling. I mean, I don't agree with the ethics of what I did, but yeah, let's put ethics aside right now, and we'll just tell 3 quick, interesting stories that happened during the panhandling winter. The winter where I was panhandling for drug money in Baltimore, Maryland. Okay, so story number 1. Now, one of the things that happens when you are panhandling is that you'll get suburban white kids will just approach you in their cars and basically say, like, "Where's the heroin, man?" or "Where's the whatever?" But it's usually heroin in that city, at least. "Where's the heroin?" And you'll broker a deal with them. You take them to the best heroin spot, and they'll spend $100 and you'll get $30 worth or something like that. So that's something that I did a couple of times. There are a couple returning people who I worked with in this way, and one of them was this dude who I think I saw him like 3 times total, and this was the story of the 3rd time. The first 2 were just very smooth. Just drove a couple blocks down, did a figure 8. Picked up the goods from the best spot I knew, and he was on his way, giving me my cut. So the 3rd time he shows up, and I can tell, like, as soon as I see this guy, I'm like, this dude is really, really, really dope sick. And sure enough, I get in the car, and I can feel it. I can feel and sense the agony he's going through. It's just, "Man, take me to a dope spot as fast as possible. I don't care if it's a good one. I just need one that's open right now." So I had known that my good spot was open, so I remind him of the directions to head toward my good spot, and he's driving recklessly through the ghetto. I'm like, "Dude, you can't do that down here. You have to follow traffic laws, obey everything." He's like, "Screw that, man. I am dope sick and I need my heroin right now." Well, okay. So he gives me the money. I remember it distinctly. It was $140, all in $20 bills, and gives me the money, and we're like literally like 2 blocks away from the drug corner, and we straight T-bone this brand new, nice, posh white Audi driven by this professional looking older woman. We nail this car. And before, I knew instinctively, I knew I could not be in any type of encounter with the police, given what perhaps was or was not on my person. So as soon as the cars stopped, I just opened that door and I started running. Got a little bit of ways, and I'm thinking like, oh yeah, well, okay, I'm running away, but yeah, I've got his money on me. And I'm not even like looking over my shoulder, but I just made the split-second decision. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to swing around and visit the drug corner as if per usual. So go through the drug corner and pick up $140 worth of heroin. And I'm inching my way back around that way, just looking around the corner. And it had been maybe 5-7 minutes had elapsed, and there weren't any police on the scene yet. He was just there talking to this woman. And so I'm creeping forward, and I'm trying to go at a diagonal. I have to paint a picture, for you guys to really understand. But she's standing over the hood of her car, flipping through all of her papers and on her phone and everything. And I get all the way around and I make eye contact with the dude and just kind of like motion to like a little patch of bush next to the sidewalk and whatnot, and just very, acutely just set something down there. And he just kind of nods at me, and then I'm on my way. And yeah, I mean, I had given him his fair share, um, and was on my way. And I had no idea what happened after that. But I had saw him. He came by one time more, not to do business, but he just came by to thank me. I guess everything he had talked to the police in his heroin withdrawal, and everything had gone fine. She had left the scene, and he went and got his heroin and got high and drove away in his damaged car. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. Okay, so let's see. Story number 2. I actually alluded to story number 2 in my panhandling video. The day was Christmas Eve. It was Christmas Eve, probably around dinner time. And I was out there, and I was trying to earn as much money as I possibly could, because the thing that I wanted to do on Christmas Eve was, I mean, I lived way up in the suburbs at this time. Like, I was staying with my friend. I was about to get kicked out for not being able to pay the rent, but was staying with my friend. Sometimes I would stay in a homeless shelter downtown because it was just real close to the proximity to the hustling and the drugs. But another thing that I would do on occasion, there was a youth hostel, a hostel, in downtown, and it was about only $25 or $30 to get a bed in a mixed, big room. And occasionally I would just go and I would stay in the hostel, and I really wanted to make enough money so that I could stay at this hostel on Christmas Eve, because I knew there was going to be an elaborate, food layout, and I just wanted to. I was in such a dark, horrific place that, I just wanted to be around some type of somewhat positive and communal energy, just as a break from the horrors that I was living in. So I'm out there and I'm really focused on, getting enough money. And yeah, people are being generous. People are in the giving spirit and whatnot. And this girl, comes up, parks her car and, walks up to me. And she's just pretty girl, looks at college age and whatnot, and she's just saying I've got some food that I'm bringing home from work. Can I give you some? And it was like dumplings or something, and she ended up giving me some food. And then she walks back to her car, and then stops, and then comes back up to me, and she's just look. I don't remember her name. I'm so bad with names, but she was just I'm so-and-so. I just moved here from California. Or no, it was Oregon. I just moved here from Oregon to go to college. And, I don't know anyone. It's Christmas Eve. I'm by myself. You're by yourself. I'm by myself. I live half a mile away from here. You're welcome to come over and spend Christmas Eve with me. We can eat, we can talk, we can do whatever. She's I even have a couch. You can have my couch. Just so we both wouldn't be miserable and alone on Christmas Eve. But I'm in heroin mode, and it's just that's heroin for you. I joke that I'm not necessarily saying this was a romantic proposal. But the joke is that I could be in when I'm strung out on heroin, I could be in a room full of sex-crazed supermodels, and all I would do would be pan my head around the room and probably say something like, "Hey, any of you ladies have a heroin connection?" Your mind it's heroin, 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 heroin. Nothing else matters. So I was locked in heroin mode, and I'm just thinking no, and my social anxiety was kicking in. Obviously, I was not in a very flattering position in life at that moment. So I just politely declined, and she went on her way. But she did, in the conversation, the point where she said, I only live a mile away from here. She did tell me what the street intersection was. So I had left the panhandling area to walk down and buy heroin. And so I went down and got high, and it was like really, really, really good heroin. And I'm in that stupid mood where it just makes you just like you act like an idiot. I'm just very, it's the same. I'll describe a lot of drugs. It's like emasculating, and you just do stupid things. And I'm high on heroin, and I'm starting to think like, yeah, I probably made a mistake. Like, it would have been really nice to have company and not be alone on Christmas Eve. So, and so like I start walking on foot to try and like go find her car, and like go to this intersection. And so I walk to this intersection, and lo and behold, like I see her car right there, and I'm like looking at the building it's parked in front of, and there's one particular door that like has a bunch of like, you know, like bohemian decorations on it, and she was obviously like a bleeding heart girl, and I'm like, that's got to be the one. But I was too scared to knock on that door. So I'm too scared to knock on the door, and I'm standing there not knowing what to do. So the only thing I could possibly think of was like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave a note. I'm gonna say like, come say hi to me. I wrote this stupid note on cardboard with a marker, homeless person style, and it was just like, thanks for being so nice. Something just very stupid and cheesy, like, oh, thanks for being so nice to me. You should stop by some other time and we can go out to eat somewhere or something. And I left it there on her door and went back and ended up going through with the hostel plan. And I'm like laying in my hostel bed a couple hours later, and I'm starting to think like, I'm starting to come down from heroin. I'm just like, oh God, that was the stupidest, most cheesy, lame thing I ever did. Get out of the hostel bed, like walk multiple miles from the hostel back to her address to try and get rid of this sign and hope that she doesn't see it and it can all be forgotten. But the sign's gone. So yeah, it was just this waiting game. It was like, I don't want to change my panhandling spot, but like, I feel this is going to be so freaking awkward. So I'm really telling too long of a story, but yeah, like we ended up, like it was like 2 weeks later that she stopped by, and we actually did end up going out to dinner to like some vegan place, and like she was really cool, but like I was just looking back on it, I totally regretted, I wasn't honest with her. I wasn't honest. I didn't say, I'm strung out on drugs, and this is 100% honesty. I made up some stupid lie about, having lost my job to a medical issue and being down on my luck. And, looking back, it was just like, that's even lamer. Like the stupid sign on her door is nothing in terms of like how lame it was to like have a nice person trying to be nice to me, and I wasn't able to be honest. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting story. I do often wonder whatever became of her. Anyway, third one, we'll do the third one real quick. As I talked about, homeless shelter or hostel, other alternatives for like where to stay for a night. Like literally some nights and if it's not too cold, it's an abandoned home. That's always really spooky to do that. But there are people who like live down in the ghetto and will like rent a mattress in their apartment out to you for $5 or $10. And there was kind of like, I knew one guy who would come down there and panhandle sometimes, and he had a connection to one of these homes that had mattresses to rent. So I had saw him, and he had hooked me up with this place. I go to this place to just try and sleep because I just wanted like a nice night of like 10 hours of sleep in a bed uninterrupted. And I ended up having to share this room with this other guy who was renting a room. And all he was doing, like he was just chain smoking crack in the room all night. Older guy, and I was trying to chat with him, and like he was a nice enough guy. Like he wasn't like freaking out on crack. He was very controlled, and we were talking about, for some reason we were talking about like World War I or World War II. He was telling me about like relatives he had that were in the war, and we got on the topic of messenger pigeons and like how the pigeons were trained to like send messages from groups of soldiers to other groups. And I found it very interesting because this guy had an encyclopedia knowledge on how these messenger pigeons operated, and I had never actually known how that worked. And it was really, really interesting to hear how they were trained and everything. But it wouldn't freaking stop. Every hit of crack this guy took, it would just be, I know you're trying to sleep, but one other thing about the pigeons. Let me tell you one other thing about the pigeons. And it was all freaking night being woken up, interrupted by this guy having some additional thing about the freaking messenger pigeons that the crack demons were telling him to tell me, and never ended up getting that good of a night's sleep. But yeah, it's funny, like certain people just switch into certain modes when they start smoking crack, and this guy, I guess, he was harnessing the spirit of the messenger pigeons.